Going on, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning. It's about 10 minutes to 5. I'm up early. I wanted to be able to get on here and talk to you guys for a few minutes. Um, I can honestly say that when you decide that you're going to escape the matrix, that trauma, it comes in waves. 2021 was the beginning of it all. And it was a hard fall for me, losing everything. I've shared that, quite a bit. And since then, um, it's been a little bit better, but I would say that I still have those moments where I want to go back. I want to go back, have a steady life, come home with a paycheck, things like that. Um, but when I look at the 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 reward of betting on myself and what I can get and what more I can do for myself and my loved ones, I keep pushing. But there's a lot of trauma in wanting to go back. So I sit there and I'm like, man, like this is hard. Let me tell you, like when you take the time to think about your life and how you're a part of a huge system, a huge game, you're like, yo, it's really not set up for me to win. Like in no way, shape, or form is it set up for me to win. And like, let me give you some stuff. So you have you're 30. I'm gonna use me. I'm 33 years old. From the moment you're born, you're taught, you know, um, to speak. You're taught to write. You're taught to have manners. You're taught to work hard. You're taught to learn how to put together a resume. You're taught to go out for your first job. And then once you get into the job circuit, every skill that you acquire or every skill that you find out about, you're told to um, use that skill to get a better job. No one ever tells you to use that skill to, go into business for yourself. No one ever tells you to use that skill to leverage within the job market so that you can get higher pay. And then from there, jump ship and make a living for yourself as an entrepreneur. You're just not told those things. I tell my story. Right now, I'm dropping a new set of episodes on my Instagram. I tell my story, like of these different instances where you are not being told about anything until you're like almost 18 years old. I'm talking about stuff that's serious stuff. I'm talking about um, credit cards versus debit cards, taxes, debt, insurance. Um, you know, the first introduction people get to real estate is to rent. Um, Not be the person who, goes out and learns about real estate and buys the property so that they can rent to somebody. The list goes on and on. I mean, the first time you learn about assets and liabilities is usually, after you've racked up so much consumer debt on credit cards, you're crashing, one or two cars per year, your insurance is going up, and then people are calling you the liability. Nobody ever calls you the asset; they call you the liability. So it's like it's unfortunate that we have um, a society where it's set up for you not to really know how to break free. You either find out because somebody comes into your life and tells it to you, or you hit rock bottom. And as I get more and more in this, I'm sort of thankful that it's like that because it allows you to stay away from comfort. It allows you to stay away from entitlement. It allows you to stay away from handouts in a way. So I kind of like the fact that you got to scramble and hustle and bustle. But at the same time, because of the detriment it's done to such a large volume of people, it's like it's very unfortunate that people would have just gotten the memo. The world would look like a better place. And then to play advocate, right? There are a lot of people who did have the information and they fumbled it, you know, because simply they was just focused on different stuff. Like prime example, I'll tell you this: there are a lot of people at some point, like I said, who were millionaires and billionaires. There were a lot of people who had influence in the community as well as the masses. There were a lot of people that stood in those situations and they squandered opportunities to do better for themselves, their loved ones, and to do better for the world, you know. And this is one thing I learned, and I used to teach my students when I was in education, is that everybody's teaching you, and that's what people need to understand. Everybody is teaching you. Everybody. The homeless person on the corner, the janitor in the building, the CEO, nature, everything and everybody is teaching you. And so one thing I'm learning is that, and I attribute it to, just people who really take the time to figure out systems and how to control and how to lead, and even the powers that be, how they want things to be and run. I think that there are narratives that are sent out subtly, and over time people believe those narratives, whether good, bad, ugly, whatever you want to call it. Once that narrative gets into your system and it becomes a part of you or you connect with it, then that's when people start to change. You start to see patterns of different behavior in society. You start to see people divide themselves from each other. You start to see people distance themselves from beliefs that they once had. And when we start to see that, that is the beginning of downfalls. It can be on a small level, it can be on a massive level. That's when we start to see people's downfalls, when they take in narratives that aren't necessarily healthy for them. All things are lawful, but not all things are beneficial. That comes from the Bible. So it's like, you have free will, man. You can take in what you want. We are subject to the law of the land. Um, as long as it doesn't go against our biblical principles. But you just have a lot of people that get themselves involved in a lot of narratives, and it begins their downfall. And one of the things I believe over time is that people have gotten into the narrative about money and the narrative about God. And I just think a lot of those narratives have contributed to the high level of poverty we see globally. Like I said, trauma comes in waves. My most recent trauma is I find myself um, hesitant to talk about the Bible and business and wealth building. I hesitate to talk about it because I'm still dealing emotionally with that transition of stepping away from teachings and ideologies and narratives that I grew up under. And me, I'm a pretty outspoken person, but like I say, I'm human as well. So that's really why it's like I may talk about it on my podcast, and I might mention it here or there, but you don't see like 300 videos rolling out of me talking about it because it's just been that trauma, processing that trauma and transitioning from all the things that I've gone through and how it's made me feel. But I'm definitely, coming out of that shell and going ham, and I'm going to be dropping clips on my social media platforms concerning it. Not because I know it all, but I know that it's the gateway for people to transition and to progress and to get better for themselves. So that's where I'm at right now. So, as I conclude talking about this, I really just want to be able to let everybody know that this is not easy, man. It is not. And every time I'm looking at people who are successful and I read from where they are in life right now, they all say the same thing. When you decide you want to bet on yourself, when you decide you want a better life for yourself, you have to have certain things in place in order to succeed. And I'm starting to figure out that you have to have more you present than your plan. Like the plan that you have has to be, constantly worked on and becoming more and more foolproof. But you have to have more of you present than anything else. You cannot be making a decision every 5 seconds you're going to run back. Or if this doesn't work out, you have a plan B. You have to constantly move forward because if you play back and forth, you're really not going anywhere. You're just standing in one place playing jump rope. So you got to make that decision that you're going to go forward when it comes to changing your life and when it comes to stepping into a place where you become a better person and you become the person that your family has long been awaiting for so that you guys can experience freedom in ways that you never thought possible. So that's my little heartfelt moment from me to you guys. Thank you all for always listening on my podcast, Honor Kings and Sons TV podcast. Be sure to follow me at Honor Kings and Sons on Instagram with my series, The Dark Files, and my comic series that I do on the side. I post clips every now and then so that I can get people interested in it before I do my big project by the end of the year and continue to support. I appreciate you all. Thank you all. Love, peace, shalom. We move in grace.